the indoor cycling app where fun is fast.
Welcome. Hi everyone, Geraint and Tom here. I hope you're all having a cracking summer.
Now today's episode is going to be a little bit different. Geraint's currently busy being a proper cyclist, so the Geraint Thomas Cycling Club is on a summer break.
Yeah, I've got to admit, it is weird not having our weekly catch-ups, but yeah, we'll be back soon.
And in the meantime, we're treating you to some of our favourite bits from the first series, so we can all reminisce together.
Enjoy, and see you soon.
Right, G, so I've chosen today's topic, but I did need a little bit of help from you to get us a decent guest. I asked for an Olympic legend. Have you got on?
I think I've done all right. This person's got 6 Olympic gold medals. They're an 11-time world champion. The first Briton in 100 years to win 3 gold medals at the same Olympics. And they were the most successful Olympic cyclist of all time at that point. So, introduce him, Sir Chris Hoy. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Great introduction from a Tour de France winner.
Well, you know, I try my best.
We don't mention Jason Kenny at this point with his medals. Is he just persona non grata?
Well, you know, technically it was true what you said there. At the time, I was the most successful. Now I has been. I'm just the joint most successful.
Right on.
But yeah, Jason's not won 11 world titles, has he? Come on.
How many has he got?
Right.
Do you know?
I think a piffling 3 or 4.
Right.
But anyway, thanks for joining.
No, it's my pleasure. My pleasure. Good to see you.
Well, the first thing I want to know, I do want to get into all the cycling stuff, Chris, but you get asked before the Olympics in 2012 this enormous honour of holding the flag at the opening ceremony. So I can imagine you, with all your prep, being torn because it's huge to be able to carry that flag. But surely the last thing you want to do is, well, a warm night, walking around, and you're going to hold that properly, I imagine. I can't remember whether you held it Matthew Pinsent style, free of the...
Oh, of course.
Yeah, straight arm.
Straight arm. Yeah, of course.
So that's going to take it out of someone.
Well, the thing is that you're absolutely right. You wouldn't choose in your training program, if you're writing out the ideal prep for the Olympic Games, for your biggest race of your life, you know, 2 days before, I'm going to spend 4 hours on my feet walking around. You know, it's totally illogical to consider doing it. But on the flip side, you've got to work out what you're going to get back from it. So I hadn't done a single opening ceremony before. I'd done a Commonwealth Games one back in 2002. But apart from that, I'd only ever seen them on the TV in from the village. So I got a little message from Dave B saying, you know, I want to have a quick word with you. He brought me into his room and said that you've been nominated to carry the flag. He said, what do you want to do? And I was like, well, there wasn't even a second's thought. You know, of course I want to do it, because this is your home Olympics. This is the one opportunity in your lifetime to lead the team out, and you're going to do it in front of a home crowd. What an amazing experience! But you know, how do we make it work? And he's like, well, look, let me think about it. In true Dave B style, you came back about half an hour later and said, I've got your helicopter sorted. And I was like, what? So you know, so we got this. We're staying at the Celtic Manor in Newport, and we were planning to head down in cars like 2 days after it. It was just this matter of, right, I'm going to get you a helicopter, we're going to fly you in as close as we can to the village. There'll be a driver there, will pick you up, take you straight in, literally to the, almost not quite the minute, but give you an hour to settle in, get your kit on, go downstairs, meet the team, and then just try and minimise the time on your feet. So whenever you can, you sit down, you know, literally you're walking from the village into the stadium, which is only a couple of miles, but it's long enough when you're not used to walking at all. But what drains you, it's not the walking or the standing, it's the fact that your adrenaline and your excitement as you're walking in, and there's crowds on both sides, and you're high-fiving folk, and it's just this building up of anticipation. And you look back now with the pandemic and coronavirus and hygiene, you know, we were told to take hand gel with you, because it literally everywhere, you know, whenever you high-five someone or shake hands, it was still 4 or 5 days till competition. You could pick up a bug, so it was handshake, high-fiving people, and then it was like squirting the hand gel, get it on. Then before it even dries, you're high-fiving someone else and more hand gel, and trying to stay healthy and stay fit and healthy for the race. And then I got to the final step. You can come to the stadium, and here we go. This is your moment, and you've been anticipating it for 2 or 3 hours by that point. And then you go in, and it was just this explosion of sound. It was this noise from the crowd. It was the confetti cannons going off, boys, heroes playing, and you're told, you know, when you walk in, carry the flag this way, pass the rail box, do this, do that. Yep, no problem. I won't forget all that. You walk in, and it just goes out of your head straight away. and I was just giving it the big wave, one arm waving at the flag, and it was a really emotional moment too. It was just that moment of thinking, do you know what? It's been a hard 4 years to get to these games healthy and fit. Injury, defeats, teammates like Jason Kenny, who were really pushing me all the way for the individual slot in the Kieran and the sprint. And I thought, you know what, it's all been worth it just for this moment, just to carry the flag, just to walk in, to experience these few seconds. It's made all that hard work worthwhile. And if I get a medal of any colour on top of this, then that's a bonus. So it took the pressure off me, and the opposite of what people might expect. Being the flag bearer, you've got the extra expectation, but I felt the opposite. I thought, you know what, it was all worth it for this one moment, and if I get anything else, then that's a bonus.
And Brad Wiggins got to just walk on stage and ring a bell. Easiest job in the world.
Well, it was weird because I saw him. It was before the opening ceremony that night. The only three people from the team were Dave B, Bradley, and me that had arrived. So I went to the room straight to him. Yeah, it was the first time I'd seen Bradley since the tour, and it was just this kind of moment of, bloody hell, mate, you've just won the Tour de France. It was really surreal. And well, you remember, Geraint, we were in Newport watching him on the screen. We all gathered when they went down the Champs-Élysées to the final stage, and we all gathered down there and watched it and sort of clapped and cheered as he crossed the line. And there was one of our teammates win the Tour de France, and and that picture of you standing watching it as well, Geraint, just thinking, God, did you really think at that moment that you would ever be doing the same thing?
Not a chance in hell, no. I think, just remember we're all stood there in our sweaty skin suits, weren't we, in the track centre and watching on someone's laptop, and that just seemed like, wow, it was just unbelievable, really. And I was thinking, no chance I'll ever be there. But, it happened.
Yeah, me too.
But I've never been to opening ceremony either. I think we went to the closing one in London, but that was a bit disappointing. I think it's kind of more tailored to watch on TV, to be fair, because we couldn't really. Was there Spice Girls singing?
Yeah, Spice Girls was there. George Michael was there.
And we had a little flask of like gin or something. Me, Ed. I think were you there, Chris? I'm sure.
I was there. Yeah. I mean, obviously I wouldn't be drinking. No.
I think you were handing them out, actually. Yeah. Here you go, boys. I'll tell you this.
Do you remember what happened? We were queuing up, and it was, again, it takes forever to go in for these events because all the countries, nation by nation, and you're taking forever. And I was absolutely starving, and they had all these food stalls out, and we were going past the pizza one, and the guy, I gave a wave to the guy at the pizza place, and he was like, "Hey, you want a pizza?" I was like, "Yeah, please." He said, "How many do you want?" And he brought over like 3 or 4 pizzas for us, free of charge, and we just handed them out. And it was a lifesaver because I was running low on energy. I was, as a sprinter, we've got to eat every sort of, 60 minutes or every 90 minutes. We started to get grumpy, and that was a lifesaver. That perked me up no end. That was great. You must have got a little bit of pizza, surely.
That's what 6 gold medals get you.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I was allowed a slice. I think you let me have a slice and like a coffee.
But the weird thing from the outside, when you always go to an Olympics, it's like you're the worst tourist in the world. Like you two were both in Beijing. Gee, you didn't see any of the big hitters in Beijing. You didn't go to Tiananmen Square, Forbidden City, Great Wall, none of it.
No, well, I was 22. It was all about the race until that point. So, we were fully committed. But as soon as we won, it was like, well, let's go drink, let's go party, I don't want to go see a wall or some square. Like
some square, a wall.
Where's the party at? But now, I don't know if I'd be any different now, to be honest, actually. I'm not really a big sightseer, It's all cool, like old walls and stuff, but yeah, I'd rather just enjoy it with the boys,
Plenty of time for sightseeing when you get a bit older like me,
What about after your race, Chris? Did you stay until the end? Because cycling's normally one of the first events, so it's a long time to stay, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I carried the flag in the closing ceremony in Beijing.
Oh,
so I
sorry.
were in for that.
I should know that.
And well, I should know it. But as you say, it's one of these things. It's all about the opening, really, isn't it? It's the closing. It is for TV, but it's the athletes are just going there to celebrate, and then you go straight from there back to the village, and then the parties start, and you have your fun. But we were leaving the next day. Doug, as always, Doug Daly was an absolute legend of British cycling, who started out as a coach and then became in the logistics and the planning and sort of managed the team. And he always, because Doug was very disciplined, a real kind of military precision with everything. And he'd get up in the morning and he'd do, 50 press-ups, and he was in his, he must have been in his 60s at that point. Great guy. And but the one thing he always used to do was book the flights as early as possible the night after the last night of celebration. So he knew that we'd all be absolutely, in a terrible state. And then he'd be, okay, boys, downstairs at 6 a.m. And you'd be like, oh, thanks, Doug, brilliant. So we were leaving. I think the flight, we had to leave at like 3 or 4 a.m. So we basically stayed up all night and then got the bus straight into the airport, and it was a hell of a journey back. Slept the whole way. Expected to arrive and just have the usual, couple of journalists with a few questions, and then straight back to your room back home. And we arrived into Gatwick, and there was this massive press conference. And we came off the steps, and suddenly dawned on me, actually, this is a bit bigger than Athens or Sydney or anything I'd experienced before. This is a big deal. And from then on, for the next, so I guess it was the same for you after winning the tour. For the next 2 or 3 weeks, or probably next month, it was unbelievable. Just the number of things you had to go and do, and people to see, and events and media. It was quite overwhelming, really.
Yeah, and going back to that travelling home, that was probably the best perk. Did you? Because we got a gold membership to BA and a business ticket home. First business class ticket I ever had. Oh.
Did you not get first class?
No, you got to win bloody 6 to get one of them, don't you?
Ah, you got stuck back in business, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, never mind.
So, Tom, today's guest, I think we've absolutely nailed it. I think, to be fair, I'm a bit nervous. I think this is the best guest we've had in the whole series. I think the word legend as well gets sort of thrown around a bit willy-nilly these days, but I think we've got a genuine legend on the show. He's won Paris-Roubaix, a joint record 4 times, Tour Flanders 3 times, which also is a record. I've got these off Wikipedia, so please correct me if I'm wrong. He's a big guy. He's 6'3" in English money and almost 13 stone, which is roughly 82 kilos, I think.
A bit more now.
A little bit more now. Recently retired. Welcome to the show, Tom Boonham.
Thanks
for coming, mate. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, man.
I remember the first time I watched Tom, it was in the rain, actually. I'm pretty sure it was in the rain. It was a wet Roubaix, right, in 2002?
It was, yeah. It started raining in the start. I think after 10 minutes it started raining, and there was a big wind all day long. Very big wind. And I got in the breakaway after 20 Ks. We got away with an echelon. 25 riders or something, or maybe more, I can't remember. And then we went to the first cobblestone section with like 3 minutes of the advantage. And there was only one team chasing us. That was US Postal for Hinkepie. I was the only guy in front. And I made it to the final. But it was a pretty riding Roubaix in the wet. It was the last time it rained in Paris-Roubaix. It was in 2002. So can you imagine? It's like 19 years ago this year. And before that, I think it rained almost every year. Like all the editions I watched when I was a kid, it was always wet. And then it's just stopped raining in April, I guess. But it's pretty hard. Riding in Roubaix in the wet is probably 1.5 times more harder than riding in the dry. The speed is much lower. You have to accelerate more often. The technique is much more important. Not everybody is able to ride on wet cobblestones with a lot of mud on it. There's more crashes, so there's a lot more stress going in. And being in front that year probably made me get into the final, because I had all the time in the world on the cobblestones. Just got in second, third position and just weaved back. Finished cobblestone 15th position, and guys were getting dropped. And I did this time over time until the big guns came with us, and I still had the legs to ride the last 50K, so I was good.
I guess it's hard. You can't avoid the cobbles either then. Like you said earlier, you can't ride in all the mud, so...
No, when it's wet, it's a completely different race. It eats you alive.
That race, though, that's when I fell in love with the cobbles. Like, watching that. I must have been, 2002, I must have been, like, 16, 15. Oh, watching that on TV, it was just incredible. And from that day on, I was like... Because when I was a junior, we went to Belgium quite a lot racing, and that's always been my first love in cycling, really, those cobbled races. And seeing, like I remember your face just like a proper face mask, basically. You had great skin after that.
There's a picture of me when I just pick up my glass. No, I have my glasses on. You can just see my eyes, and all the rest is just black.
Yeah.
And then I take my helmet off, and it was just one line. That was pretty muddy, like. But I did it. It rained one more time, but only in the beginning of the race. So the first cobblestone sections were wet that year. I can't remember which year it was. I think 2008 or 9. But then we had like the last 75 Ks were completely dry. The thing is also when it doesn't rain 12 hours, the stones, they dry up in 50 minutes. The wind's there, it's always a lot of wind in Paris-Roubaix, so if there's only a little bit of water in 30 to 40 minutes, it's dry again, the cobblestone. So that's, for a real red Paris-Roubaix, you have to have rain on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, in 2018 it rained before the race, and I remember we did a recon and we all crashed on the mud. Like, it was unbelievable the amount of mud. Luckily for the race it was dry and it all cleaned up, but I remember going into that thinking, do I really need to be here? Like, I'm targeting the Tour. Oh, yeah, and that was insane, that race. I actually crashed one of the first sectors, got taken out on the mud, and that was it. Race over, but yeah.
But I hope it rains again one year. Didn't it rain last year? So when the race was cancelled, it was raining that day. Yeah, it was raining big time. It's a shame.
So a proper Paris-Roubaix, it needs to rain.
Yeah. No, it doesn't need to rain, but it's every 5 to 10 years you should have a big wet edition.
So Tom, we're used to the pictures at the end of Paris-Roubaix, and like cycling's a tough sport, and riders can look broken after most races, but there's something about Paris-Roubaix in particular where the riders just look desolate. It's the dust, it's the dirt, it's the hollow eyes. When you're riding those cobbles, what hurts first? And does stuff hurt on cobbles that just doesn't hurt on other stuff?
I was really, I don't know why, but I never had any big problems after Paris-Roubaix. I had 1 year when I really had to, like, sorry to say, piss razor blades for 3 days. That was the only year I had it. So I think I had a bad pants on or something. I don't know. But most of the time I was fine. I never had any blisters or anything. So just sore legs and sore arms from the cobblestones and from the racing. But no big issues. Only 1 year.
Yeah, I think that shows Tom was made for it. There's been guys on teams I've been on, during recons, they've stopped and got in the car because they're like got in blisters or they're sore, or just soft guys that aren't made for it. Really, she doesn't need much of an introduction, but I'm going to give it a good go anyway. 4-time Olympic champion, 7-time world champion. She's Britain's most successful female Olympian ever and the most successful female track cyclist of all time. Not bad. She's also national road race champion, and as her Twitter bio says, most importantly, she's mum to Albert. Welcome to the Geraint Thomas Cycling Club, Laura Kenny.
Hello.
How was that for an intro?
Not bad, not bad.
Anything I left out there?
No, I don't think so.
Gee, there's something we've talked about a fair amount on this podcast, but I think we should do an episode just on this because it's played a massive part in your life, in the early part of your career. It has brought Britain heaps of Olympic golds, and it's maybe the one thing that you would tell our members, if there's one thing they haven't tried in cycling, I reckon you'd tell them to do this. See if you can guess what I'm talking about.
Oh, I think it's got to be track riding on the velodrome.
Yeah.
Oh, just growing up on the track, you just, especially the outdoor velodromes, they were all unique. They all had their little, characteristics that made them different. Whereas now, obviously, with World Cups and stuff, generally, it's a 250 indoor wooden track. Although Moscow, obviously, 333. But generally, it's all the same, and all enclosed, and you kind of, everything is a lot less variables, and everything's more measured, and you kind of know what you're going to get. But yeah, that's what kind of made it more exciting, though, I think, driving all the way up to Scunthorpe and just hoping it wasn't rain, because it would be quite a long way to go from Cardiff to just get rained off. But no, they were good trips back in the day. We'd go camping and play a bit of football or a bit of quick cricket. Do you remember quick cricket when it came into schools, Tom? Like,
oh yeah,
oh, that was great. Yeah, we used to play that the night before and stuff. So yeah, cracking weekends. Yeah, barbecues in the rain.
And Laura, your dad, I remember your dad telling me once that he used to try and tack on a little interesting educational side trip. Like, let's say you were going down to Newport, he treats you to the Usk Transporter Bridge.
Yeah, we did, yeah. And then some underground thing. What was it? What am I thinking of? It's like...
In Newport?
Well, it's near... maybe Cardiff. No, I swear it's Newport. Like, it's like an underground tour thing.
The Big Pit.
Yeah, there we go. The Big Pit. I've still got a red dragon from the Big Pit, I have, you know.
Quality.
It's just like random stuff like that, yeah. Or like we'd go to football pitches, like football stadiums, just like whatever one was local. But yeah, so we used to just do like a little, so that it wasn't just going to cycle, you know, like, because obviously we were young. Like my dad didn't want us to be like, oh, this is really serious when you're 10, like 11. So yeah, he used to tag on a little trip for us.
There was a lot of them though, wasn't there? There was a lot of parents that took it very serious.
Oh yeah.
Just like, it was mad looking back actually.
Yeah. And like some of the money that was thrown out.
Yeah.
From like other parents, and you just think, wow. Because we used to have set rules. Like my dad used to be like, you have to win like a nationals or whatever to get a disc wheel. Because I remember my sister won first, so she got a disc wheel, and I was like, oh, but I wanted one.
At nationals actually, when they were in Manchester, they used to be, you know, under 16s, under 12s, even all the way through to seniors, and we used to go around as mainly flyers, asking people to borrow their disc wheel.
Oh.
I was like, I'd never lend like a 12, 14-year-old a disc wheel. The amount they crash and stuff, like.
You know, at my first nationals, my steerer snapped. Well, not the steerer, I guess like the bolts on the stem. And Swifty was selling a bike at the time, like he just had a for sale sign, and it was just at the bottom of the ramp. And my dad just went up to his dad and was like, can we just like pinch the handlebars? And he just let him have her, like we could just have them. And so yeah, my first nationals was on Ben Swift's handlebars, which at the time I was like, ooh, got Swifty's handlebars.
That's the thing, it was a good bit of camaraderie, wasn't there? I think, it was that little community really at track racing.
Yeah, it really was, yeah. And like camping outside, because my nationals was always at Newport, because obviously I was that much further behind you lot, because you're getting old now, G.
Yeah, time's gone by.
He has got his name on the centre now, though.
I know.
Laura, isn't
I mean, when we go in April, that's going to be weird.
I was going to pull you up actually at Geraint Thomas National Velodrome of Wales, actually. Not Newport.
So is there, like, thinking about the different shapes then, Laura, I want to know what makes a particular track fast. So let's go through some of the variables, right? The surface, first of all. What makes a fast track in terms of the surface?
Well, I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of what the wood is and all that jazz, but I mean, a wooden one's faster than a concrete one. And like different ones.
Newer one quicker?
No, not necessarily, no, because when Appledorn was built, it was horrible. Like, it just wasn't a fast track. And then since it's been relayed, it's better. But initially, no. And also, it can be slippery. In fact, Newport, when I first went on it, I slapped off.
Geraint Thomas National Velodrome of Wales.
It was horrible.
Have a word, G.
Yeah.
I'm just getting the name right, that's all.
I bet you're glad it weren't called that then. It was just really dusty, so yeah, newer's not always better.
Yeah, I think when it comes to shape as well, the more oval it is, like the closer to a circle it is, the better. So the more you're in the bend, because the bends are basically quicker, you speed up with the... Is this centrifugal force? I don't know what force it is, but it's a nice force. It speeds you up basically in the bend. So the shorter the straights, the better, basically. That's why I think Appledorn, LA, they're quite long straights, from what I remember.
But if they're really tight, so like Cali, for example, I mean, that one's a bit different because it doesn't have sides, so you've got like crosswinds to deal with. But if they're really tight, it's quite hard to sit on a wheel. So like in a team pursuit, for example, so it is quicker as long as your bike handling skills are up to scratch, if you know what I mean. Because you get like wung out of the banking, and obviously if you're sitting this close to a wheel, then you want to be able to, yeah, keep up. I don't know. It can be scary sometimes if they're really tight.
What about the temperature? Does the temperature make a difference?
Oh yeah, hotter the better, yeah. I mean, I think like best is 28, is it? I hear, because any hotter than that, like in a points race, you're like sweating. Whereas I think 28 is like ideal for body temperature. That's it.
Maybe yours, I don't know. I think heat is definitely good, yeah, as Laura says.
All I know is if a storm's on the way, chances are you're going to go quick on the track.
Really? Even though it's indoor? That can make a difference.
Yeah, because the pressure's really low. I don't know what pressure's measured in. All I know is the number. So 1,000 and above is horrendous. If you can get a number that's like 99 something, then chances are you're on for a good day.
Yeah, definitely. Because I remember Bobridge, when he broke the individual pursuit record, back then it was like 4:10, now it's like 4:01, which is ridiculous. But yeah, when he broke that, it was in Perth. It was just in the training track in Perth. But there was a good shape to that track. And yeah, it was super hot. I think it was over 30 degrees. And then, yeah, really low pressure because a big storm was coming in. So it was like, you know, definitely under 1,000 and ideal conditions then to go fast. So.
What's the feeling like of coming off the banking at pace? I'm guessing you have to absolutely love it, Laura.
Yeah, like when you're having a good day, right? I can't even explain it. Like, and you know when you're going fast as well. Just it's the combined feeling of when you come down and like you hit the bend and like you can almost feel the force like pushing against your arms. Like, because obviously for us, we do most of our training on a team pursuit bike, and it's like the force into your tri-bars, and like it's the combined with the sound as well of the disc wheels. And like I was
like
just
a rumble, isn't
it? Yeah, like I don't know, I can't even really explain it to you. Like, I mean, sometimes I remember at London, right, at the Olympics, and I hadn't done a flying lap on that track, and I just rock up and do it. Obviously, that was the first event in London, and I was going that fast, like compared to what I'd done before. I came out of the bend and was like wung up above the red line, and I was like, wow, like that's probably the fastest I've ever travelled. And it's weird, it's like being in a washing machine. Like, that's all I can explain it, like almost being out of control.
It is great, that feeling, especially like even more so like in the team pursuit when you're just flying around. It's almost effortless sometimes, like when you're getting that slingshot out of the banking and your changes, when you just nail your changes. Like I remember Shane always used to say, don't go against the boards, and I always go, don't go against the boards, what are you on about? Like, but it's like sometimes you just hit that sweet spot and you change, you just nail it. Yeah, like Laura says, coming off the top as well. I think the best track to do that though is Moscow, because have you ridden Moscow, Laura?
No, I've never been, no. It sounds scary.
It's like, it's almost twice the size of a normal track, width-wise, and it's 333 metres long, so yeah, a normal track is 250. So I think the world record for 200 metres there, even though it's in Moscow, you know, which is Baltic, but they must have cranked the heating up as well. But yeah, you can get so much height, you get so much extra speed off the top of those things. It's that's a great track to ride. You just don't want to come off. I remember, I came off there in 2003 Junior Worlds, and it was like I had a head jog on my arm, you know, just the amount of splinters in me. Because that track that definitely hasn't been resurfaced since it was built, and it's just so, you know, you run your finger along it, you pick up splinters. It's...
I can't believe you started talking about crashes when we've banned crashes, and it was you who banned talk of crashes, G. But since you have, Laura, I'm going to ask you, is it worse crashing on the road or crashing on the track?
Well, see, I would have always said the road, because you don't often hear of broken bones, not that bad, on the track. But after Canada last year, in fact, it was pretty much a year ago, and breaking my shoulder, that's like the most pain I've ever been in. And so I'm going to go with track, just purely because of that one crash.
Yeah, just crashing in general just isn't nice. I think if you were to choose, though, you would slide more on the track, and generally that's better than just like, you know, a bum like on some concrete or
yeah, I feel like you can deal with splinters. Like, I know it's like they hurt, don't they? But they come out eventually. But broken bones is just like a different. Yeah, I don't know. Road just seems scary to me. That's why I don't do it anymore.
You do get big splinters though, don't you? Was it Jason Queenie who got that massive?
Oh, and Wang got the one straight through his.
Yeah, it was like a spear.
Didn't he?
Oh, it was like a javelin, like a wooden javelin.
Yeah, straight through his calf muscle and out by his shin. It's an unbelievable photo.
It was horrendous, yeah.
So here's a question for you, Laura, more technical one about the track. Do you know what the lines are? What the lines are for and named?
I have no idea. I know you've got the coat inside bit, and then you've got the black one and the red one. You can't go outside the red one. Is that the sprinter's line, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, to be fair, I don't know the names either.
Okay, good.
Obviously, the coat
So hang on, so you've won 6 Olympic track medals between you, and you don't know what the lines are for on a track?
Okay, Tom, so it's time to introduce our guest. He's the first Dutch rider that we've had on the GTCC. He's a former teammate of mine, currently riding for Bahrain. He's a good guy, happy guy. His slogan is "Smiling is for free." So welcome to the podcast, Wout Pauwels.
Hey, hello.
What's the inside chat, Wow, on the best training partner? The ones who've got the best chat or the best manners or they're never in a bad mood?
You know, I quite like to train with G, but he is quite often in a bad mood. But I can deal with that.
No, not bad.
Nah, not bad. He's always a little bit grumpy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're always hungry.
Yeah.
Or hangry. So then after the coffee stop, it's amazing. So before the coffee stop, I'm only chatting, but I quite like it.
This is some bromance, isn't it, Tom?
It's nice. Particularly because you're both recording from a single microphone, your noses are almost touching anyway. There's an intimacy to this conversation we haven't had on previous pods.
And with the old headphones, it's like that scene out of, what was it? With the dogs with the spaghetti?
I don't know. What is that?
No, we need a dogs and spaghetti. Sounds.
There's two dogs eating spaghetti and Lady and the Tramp, that's the one. See? It's a bit like Lady and the Tramp, isn't it?
Which one's the lady, which one's the tramp?
He's the tramp.
What is a Trump? I don't know. Donald Trump.
Tramp with an A.
Tramp. Oh.
Well, the tramp was like a homeless stray dog type thing, wasn't it? It's been so long since I watched it. And then the lady was, I'm guessing, it was like a posh sort of poodle dog, no?
It's amazing where you go on this podcast, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I learned so many things.
Wow, one of the first things I was ever told about you by Geraint was that you had an amazing ability to swear in English. Now, obviously, this is a family pod, so we won't play these swear words out. I think maybe producer Louise could put the sound of maybe of a bicycle bell over the top of these, but just give me the sound of your 3 best swear words in English, and I promise this won't actually go out on air.
The thing was, at one point someone in the team sent me a whole list of swearing words. I don't know why.
Who was it?
Yeah, I can't remember. I think someone on the office, actually. Yeah, and then there was a word belland. That's a good one, no?
Yeah, that's one of Wout's favourites.
Yeah, belland. I call everyone a belland. Yeah.
That's not so bad, though. But
It was like it was a little bit of compliment. If I didn't call you a belland, then you were not part of it.
my niece, who's 2.5, started calling people bellends because she heard her dad say it. That's quite funny. But no, the worst with Wout though is, you know, the worst word you can say in English beginning with a C.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, sorry, can't say that. Oh, we have to
just heard the
beep
sound
that.
of a bicycle
we can
bell.
beep that, no?
That's the one.
Yeah, but I think that's because of.
Richie.
Yeah.
Yeah, Richie says that a fair amount. Like, not in an aggressive way, not that that makes up for it, but, you know. So Wout was with my parents-in-law. We were just, I don't know what we were doing. And you said it about 3 or 4 times. I was like, wow, you can't keep saying that.
Yeah, but I remember, I think we were watching the rugby.
Ah, yeah, we were,
And
yeah.
Dave, he was all the time doing this on my leg when they, I don't know, I don't understand that game anyway. And he was so excited all the time. And he was all the time with his hand on my leg, like, bum. And I was like, you're little.
That's
Wow.
you dropped the C bomb in front of Ave and Beth. I can't believe it.
Yeah, but I didn't mind.
No, they understood it was his second language.
Yeah, exactly. I can get away with that all the time.
That's the only thing as well. When you're in airports and stuff and you're with foreigners who just swear in English just because, yeah, they don't really think about it too much. And then you sat there and you're a bit like, boys, it's like quite a lot of like people around here, like, you know, kids and, well, just people.
Yeah, but the thing is, you guys all the time go like in the room and, you know, like in a sort of a closed environment.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we have to learn all these new words.
Out in public.
Yeah, and then you think it's normal to use that.
Gee, we need a proper guest on this, someone who's been a domestique for longer than you were. So who have you pulled out the bag for us this week?
Well, I thought I'd tap up an old mate. I've known him since I was maybe 12 or 13. And, yeah, he's been a domestique. He's also been a team leader in his own right. Welcome, Mr. Ian Stannard. Thanks for joining us. Also known as Yogi. Do you want to just give Tom a brief? Because Tom did ask me, actually, before we came on, why is he known as Yogi? I didn't really know.
Yeah, so we're travelling out to junior race and Shane was with us and
Shane Sutton,
yeah, he branded it to me and it's kind of stuck and caught on more and more people and now everyone's shouting it.
What was his thinking? Is because Yogi's obviously a bear. Is he saying, because you're a tall man, are you 6'3"?
Yeah, 6'2", yeah.
So is he saying you're bear-like? Is that a good thing in a cyclist?
Bear like going down them lines. Yeah, Wow, most guys are a lot smaller, aren't they? So, yeah.
But Yogi Bear isn't like a big angry grizzly bear, though, is he? He's like a nice sort of timid, friendly, but also got the strength of a bear, and that's Stannard, really, isn't it? That's you.
Yeah, I guess so. You don't know yourself, do you? So, yeah.
So, Ian, what makes a great domestique? It's something you've done for a long time, right? So, you need the physical abilities to be a domestique. You need the mental abilities. You need to be the right character, though, as well, don't you?
Yeah. I enjoy, like, hurting myself and riding hard, and, I think GEESE obviously a winner and won the tour and stuff, whereas that was never going to happen for me, and you kind of go down the route of helping guys like G and Chris, win and perform and get some satisfaction out of that.
I think the key thing as well is, like, Stannard obviously had his races to go for as well, so he'd have part of the season that was his main objectives, the classics, the start of the year, the one-day races on the cobbles and stuff in northern France and Belgium, and then once that was over, say April time, Stannard then would immediately switch focus and would turn into a helper or a domestique, straight away. And like, how did you find that? Was it easy to go between the two, or because I always found it's pretty tough, like racing for yourself and having that winning sort of instinct, and then suddenly next week you're just riding the front and doing a completely different job, and if you end up doing that too long, you can end up forgetting the winning bit.
Yeah, I think that's almost, it's only the classics, it's a real short period to race for yourself, and you almost forget the skills of racing for yourself and how to hide in the wheels a little bit more, and you're always riding more in a domestique style, and something I got satisfaction from, and helping everyone out and being part of the team in that way.
And cycling is a team sport, basically, isn't it? The one guy wins and stands on the podium.
Yes, it's a funny sport in that regard, isn't it?
Yeah.
All the guys helping out to get that one guy there, and they stand on the podium and everyone sees this one guy, but it's actually a big team effort to get the one guy there.
At least in cycling, people know that, and people get paid to do that, and it kind of makes it a bit easier to do. And you kind of, when you grow up in the sport, you understand that and you know that, but I think it's explaining it to Joe Bloggs in the street, who sees it as a really individual sport where it's not, is it? I could not go to the tour and even be top 10 without a team around me.
Yeah, it's funny, you get your hair cut or something, and the guy's like, oh, you haven't ridden the tour? And you're like, well, when I had hair. You're like, yeah, and he's like, oh, where'd you come? And you're like, oh, almost last, probably? Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, that's all they want to know, isn't it? Like, oh, where did you finish?
They don't understand it.
But then you're like, well, I won Het Newsblad a couple of weeks ago, and put 3 quick step guys away, and he just look at you like you got 2 heads.
Don't mean anything. Yeah.
I've got so many questions about being a domestique. The first one is, like, how much of it drips into your character? So is there a real pecking order in a team? Are you, as a domestique, if you turn up at the dinner table in the evening at exactly the same moment as your team leader, do you have to let them go first? Do they get the first go on the nice smoothies that you guys used to get at Sky and Ineos?
Good question. Normally we roll in quite a bit later. The smoothies are on the bus and that, good 40 minutes, 50 minutes down behind, the guys winning, and they're all back on the bus, showered, refreshed and ready to roll, and you kind of roll up and they're like, yeah, got to wait for him to have a shower, and yeah.
So you get the last shower as a domestique?
Yeah, last shower, cold water, you're done for, after riding on the front all day.
Yeah, I gotta say, I did appreciate what Stannard did, but it was annoying when you had to, like, been sat down ready to go, and then Stannard rocks up and he's taking his time, getting undressed. Stannard, just get in the shower, we want to go.
Carefully, I'm pinning my numbers, yeah.
What about hotel rooms? Do you get a worst hotel room? Does the team leader get first dibs?
Our team is pretty fair, everyone had a single room, but, back when we did share rooms, the team leader would get their own room and everyone else was sharing.
Ian, is there like an unofficial union of domestiques? So people in football always talk about goalkeepers looking out for each other. No goalkeeper will ever slag off another goalkeeper. The goal will always be the defender's fault or a miracle shot or something.
Yeah, I guess the most you look out for each other is kind of, once you get into the big mountains and all these skinny guys kind of clear off to the front of the race and dance up these climbs, and you're left there slogging your ass up, and you kind of go to the speed of the slower guy and try and look after each other and make sure you all get to the finish and share a bit of food around and all get each other there, yeah.
It's not a nutritional food though, is it? It's like Haribos and Snickers, and I've heard all the stories, mate.
Yeah, just whatever you can to get you to the finish, really. Love a good Snickers or a Haribo once you've done your day's work.
And just for people that don't know as well, like obviously in a mountain stage of the tour, you have to finish within a certain percent of the winning time as well. So depending on the difficulty of the stage, the percentage is bigger, obviously. So yeah, if the winner finishes in 4 hours, the gruppetto would say, they'd know beforehand, it's like, all right, we need to get within 10% of that. So they'd have, you know, there's people, they're all mathematicians. There's normally one guy in that gruppetto that's like working it all out, working the speed, how far down they are, how far to go. There's technical stuff in it, really, because they try to get to the finish as close to the time cut as possible, really, so they use as less energy as possible. They're obviously riding a little longer, but they're riding slower. Yeah, it's definitely a camaraderie with that regard, but I think once you get the next day, guys like Stannard and the guys he's been pally with the day before, suddenly they're, you know, elbows out, boxing on with each other, you know, fighting for position to keep their leaders in front. So it's a funny old world, but
Well, I mean, what you don't see is, as well as, like, you know, you've ridden 100k on the front, and then you still got 50k to get to the finish, up to 10, 15k birds, and putting your arse over that. You know, no one really sees that struggle there to actually to get to the finish as well.
Right, let's talk about the other skills you need then as a domestique. So I've got a little list in front of me here, because you need all sorts of techniques that ordinary riders don't have. How many water bottles, like what's the maximum number of water bottles you could carry from the team car back to your teammates?
Oh, I mean, yeah, you'd easily put nine. You know, when we had 9 riders in the team at a Grand Tour, you'd get 9, one for every guy.
Right, talk me through where these are going then, so I can picture this. I can try this next time I'm out riding.
But you got your 3 pockets in the back, you fill them up first, and then chuck them down your back. You know, and then 3 pockets underneath, they stop them all falling through. And then you've got to be tactical the way you pull them back out as well, so they don't drop into the middle of the peloton like a grenade, really.
that's the worst.
Catch all the other riders out.
Some guy comes past you with a bottle half hanging out, and you're like, oh, you know, your left bottle's going to fall out, and they just keep going, and you know, they don't know their left from their right, so they're doing their right side. It's like, your left!
Yeah.
And then suddenly that falls out, and, you know, like in the Giro then, obviously it wasn't because somebody had bottles, but it can easily take somebody out, so they're the bad domestiques. They're bad domestiques, them lot. Yeah, they're not like Stannard.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was one of them at the Vuelta last year, though. I had a damn bottle, it just fell out my hand, and that was it, middle of the peloton. Sorry.
Yeah, we've all been there. I crashed in the Tour actually once because it was back in 2017. I was wearing the yellow jersey. I'd lost it the previous day, and I'd gone back for bottles. I was coming back. It was kind of like we were saying about racing. You kind of forget how to win. I kind of forgot how to go back for bottles almost. I was coming back, and it was quite a steep little descent and a 90-degree right, and I was like, oh shit, this bottle. So I gave it one out to one of my teammates. The next one was just hanging out, so I was like, oh, I just need to get that before I, you know, start braking. Managed to give it to him, but then I was just going too fast to take the corner, so I hit a hay bale, flew over, did a somersault, landed on my back. I was okay on the grass, grabbed my bike and was straight back into the back of the peloton. And, you know, I wasn't even out the back of the group, but that's embarrassing. You know, crashing, handing out bottles. Tour Germany, like recently, maybe 2019, last year. I remember going back, and then it was the worst moment, and it all split in front of me, and I had these 3 bottles down my back for about 20k, thinking, oh, maybe I can get back. Never did. And yeah, I remember Luke ripping into me quite a bit for that, but basically forgetting how to do the basics. But
It's easy to forget, isn't it?
yeah.
Once you're riding at the front all the time.
Yeah, when you finally got to go back for your own bottles, it's different, isn't it?
Yeah, hard work. The other technique I always used to go for, you know, just before you get to the summit, 2k before the top of the climb, start slipping back, cool the car up, they normally get there okay to go, get a few sticky bottles, shove them in your jersey slowly, get you over the top of the climb, then you've got the weight of the bottles for the descent, get back up to the front.
That is cheeky.
Yeah.
Sticky bottles.
Explain sticky bottles to us first of all, but I love that idea of making yourself much heavier with bidons for the descent. It's genius.
Yeah, so, you know, they're handing out the bottles from the car. Sports director gets his hand behind the bottle and you kind of get it on the front. Gives the car a little accelerate and just pulls you up the climb a little bit. there's certain variations to length of a sticky bottle. Yeah, 10 seconds probably. All right.
10 seconds pushing it, I'd say.
Yeah, maybe it's quite, I don't know, 5 seconds.
10 seconds, you told us. 10 seconds.
Yeah, whatever you can get away with.
That's it from us for this week. If you want some more GTCC action, make sure you join our Facebook group and follow our socials at GTCC_ on Twitter and at GT Cycling Club on Instagram.
We also have weekly Club Zwift rides on Wednesdays, 6 p.m. UK time. So make sure you come in, meet up with your fellow GTCC members.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.